Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today we are going to be going over all of the boss fights for this month's Cavalier difficulty Recursion. So this one was a little frustrating for me. You're going to see a lot of deaths and you're going to be seeing me speed up the fights because otherwise this video would be 30 minutes, and hey, I'm sure you don't want to sit through a 30-minute video. So without further ado, let's get this party started with the first boss, that is Iron Patriot. And he's got soft guard, kinetic transference, backboard brawler, and powerful from afar. So honestly, he is probably the easiest out of all of the bosses, which makes sense because, well, he is the first boss. Now, he does have recovery also, so his regen ability is going to be better. Now with the whole powerful from afar, he's going to gain a power gain buff every time you're kind of far away from him. So I brought in Aegon here, but really, you know, any champ who can nullify, Claire would have been great for this, you know, to help kind of nullify those. But the kinetic transference is kind of paired up with powerful from afar. Basically, this guy's just going to be gaining power like crazy. So you're going to want to keep that in mind as you're playing him. So bringing in a power control champ is also kind of, well, would be ideal for this. So, you know, Warlock would be great. Guillotine 2099, she could do this fight as well. You've got a lot of different options here. The visions, they're always good for fights like this. So anyone with power control or who can kind of nullify that power gain, and also when he goes into arc overload is a good option for this because he's going to regen a lot of health back. Now Aegon is kind of doing some good damage here, but he's probably not the best for this fight. There are some other ones here who could be much better. So Aegon's going to launch this special 3, and down Iron Package is going to go. Well, for the most part. Thank goodness for Aegon's stun at the end, otherwise I would have been, well, deaded. Alright, so now we are moving on to Green Goblin, and Green Goblin has fight or flight, so every 12 seconds the defender gains an unstoppable buff. He's also aggressive, he's heavy hitter, and he's got Languor, which Languor is, I hate this node, so whenever you never want to empty your power bar to completely zero, so you don't want to launch that special 3. His heavy attacks are not interrupted, and he's got aggression prowess. And this guy, he gave me quite a bit of trouble, as you will see. The whole fight or flight with the unstoppable, that really kind of threw me for a loop. So bringing in someone who can kind of counter that unstoppable, someone with a slow, would be your best option here. I decided to bring in Venom here because I never really get to play with Venom all that much, and I thought it would be a good idea, and well, it's not. So you can see there I get clipped by that unstoppable. So having someone who can kind of prevent that unstoppable, someone like Red Guardian or She-Hulk, is gonna be your best option. So I'm gonna speed up these fights here because, ooh, this is not my best material. I will tell you guys that right now. And from here on in, the fighting, I get kind of sloppy and everything else. So like I said before, you're gonna want to bring in someone who can counter that unstoppable, because that's really gonna help you out in the end. Now Warlock can kind of do it with his ability accuracy reduction, but it's not always great, and as you can see there, I get caught, and I get caught a lot. So this month's Uncollected was, or excuse me, Cavalier difficulty was a little bit frustrating for me. I feel like too with this month's, we have a lot of the same champs, we have a lot of the same node interactions, and I wish Kabam would have done a little bit better. Alright, so now we're moving on to Gwenpool, and Gwenpool here, these ones here, Gwenpool is a fun fight, and I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible. So she's got combo shield, combo up 2, so every 1 second the defender's combo meter increases by 1 if the attacker performs an intercept. The timer is paused for 10 seconds. And she's got life cycle, and this is everyone's favorite node, so with life cycle, you're gonna want to knock her down as much as possible. Now she does have bleed vulnerability, which is great, so I kind of figured I'd bring in Nick here, get the bleeds on, and everything would be easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Well, she's also got shifting immunity, so she starts the fight with bleed immune, and then alternates every 10 seconds with poison immunity, and when an immunity triggers, it purifies any corresponding effects. So, you know, she's a little bit it's a little bit of a tough fight, and she's also got while they're down, and so each time anytime the attacker is inflicted with a non-damaging debuff, the defender gains a fury buff, so increasing attack rating. So she's gonna start to, well, you know, hit hard. So here's the thing, is you're gonna want to bring in a bleeder. You're also, I feel like I kind of messed up here bringing in Nick. I think Claire might have been the better option here, but Nick does do decently well. It's just this life cycle can be kind of annoying in how many times you gotta knock it down, and then, you know, you get the regen and that sort of thing, and it gets kind of frustrating. And I'm not gonna lie here, gang, I got pretty frustrated while doing this fight. It wasn't my best work, so to speak. But I do end up getting KO'd here with Nick, and I end up having to come in with Domino because I keep getting her down to just barely any health, and then I just can't get her knocked down, and then the shifting immunity. So having shifting immunity and bleed vulnerability, I get it. I get why Kabam did it. I'm not a big fan of it, but hey, not my game or whatever. So I'm just gonna leave you guys here with this last little bit of Nick, and then when I come in with Domino, and well, you guys will see. Alright, so now we're moving on to Cable. And Cable's got Toxicant, so you can actually use that in your favor. He's also got Redoubled Determination, Enhanced Abilities, so yep, his regen and his power gain is going to be triggering more. He's got Power Snap too, so basically anytime, every 7 seconds, the next buff that is triggered by the attacker is immediate nullified, and then this allows him to gain 50% of bar of power, so you're not going to want to bring in champs here who gain buffs. And guess what, guys? It still works for Dexterity too. I've learned this. And he's also got Enhanced Special 2, which I actually prefer to push Cable to his Special 2 because it's easier to dodge fully for me than his Special 1. Now, Cable is one of those champs that I really just don't like to fight. We all have them. Cable is one for me. So I brought in Claire to kind of nullify his power gain and his regen, since he does have the enhanced abilities, so I figured they would be triggering more often here. And I want to kind of keep her in the Curse of Plague so that I can get some power control going on here. Now, this may not have been the best choice, but Warlock probably would have been a good option as well. I do mess up quite a bit in this fight. This month was really kind of a little bit difficult for me. So, there we push him to the Special 3, and down Claire goes. But yeah, bringing in someone here with power control and kind of letting the Toxicant, however, work in your favor is more or less what you want to do here. Now, Ghost Rider, probably not the best option here. I want to try to get the power control, get him Fate Sealed, and build up to a Damnation so that I can cycle through back with Ghost Rider again, and it kind of works and it kind of doesn't. So alright, so now we're moving on to the first of the new bosses, and that is Red Goblin. So he's got Bloodthirsty, and that means he starts the fight with 3 persistent Bloodlust. He also has Flux Dispersal, so each time he's struck, he gains a dispersal charge, and you know, we all know how that goes. It reduces damage unless you can strike him with a heavy attack. Now, speaking of heavy attacks, his heavies, they catch me a couple times. Now, he's also immune to shock. He's got the immunity to shock here, and I think that was kind of for Doom, to kind of prevent you from bringing in Doom. He's also got Missing in Action 3. So whenever a buff on the defender expires, if the attacker lands a heavier special attack within 3 seconds, the defender is faltered for 5 seconds. Otherwise, the attacker is faltered and have a 100% chance for their attacks to miss. So you can actually really use this to work in your favor, especially if you're not great at dexing his specials. Now, his specials are really cool. I like his animations a lot. Now, he's also got No Hit Mercy. And so each time the defender is knocked down, they gain a cruelty buff, increasing crit damage rating for 5 seconds, and they can strike with critical hits even while the opponent is blocking. So that kind of wrecks me a couple times here. Now, Ghost Rider is Incinerate immune now, thank goodness. And also Red Goblin is Incinerate immune here as well. So I should have probably tried to heal up Claire and brought Claire in here and kept her in the Hellfire phase to build up her charges. And then launched a special 3 and then came back with a special 2. But Ghost Rider does decently well here. I'm just not quite used to Red Goblin's animations. Bringing in someone who nullifies here is really what you want, and someone who can kind of control his power. Now, if also, what you want to do is probably bring someone in who regens, to prevent him from going into that frenzy. So I tried to bring in Morningstar, and this probably wasn't my best work. I didn't have her built up either, and that was a mistake, because having her built up really would have helped me out here. So, but once, because he's got 3 Bloodlust charges now, he's going to enter frenzy sooner, and that's going to do a lot for Red Goblin, excuse me. So I think Claire is a really good option for this fight. It's just you kind of gotta play around with her and, you know, realize what phase you want to be in. Now, having that heal up is great so that, like I said before, it doesn't prevent him from going into his frenzy state. So here I'm trying to build up some clairvoyance charges to launch my special 3, but that falter gets me. So I go ahead and heal her up and revive her and bring her back in because I think she was my best option for this fight. I'm sure there are some other ones. Maybe Sim Supreme could do okay in staggering. But Torch, if you can Nova Flame, he might do pretty good, although I know this guy's special 2 does a ton of block damage. So kind of keep that in mind. That's the great thing about Claire is you get her in the Curse of Blood and she can heal back up with a special 2, and then you get that buff immunity on him and he can't gain any more buffs. So one more special and down Red Goblin, excuse me, is going to go. His animations are pretty cool. Also, I don't like that they gave him the Surtur background because I think that background is really hard for me to see in general. All right, so now we're moving on to Cosmic Ghost Rider, the champion that we have all been waiting for, the herald that we need, or want, or both, or all of the above. And he's got Villainy, Intervention, Villainous. So with Villainy, villains in the arena periodically gain cruelty. So bringing in a villain here is pretty going to be beneficial. Intervention, Villainous. When a #villain attacker knocks down the defender, they have a 100% chance to apply a passive intervention on the attacker. And so this intervention is what's important because so if you reach 5 stacks of intervention, you can convert to a passive concussion, excuse me. So that's going to stop Doom from, well, stunning off the special 3 and that sort of thing. He's also got Intervention, Withdraw, SB3. So any hit from the attacker special 3 removes all interventions. So you are going to want to throw some special 3s to get those removed. Then he's got Feat of Vigilance 1. So when the attacker reaches 1 bar of power, the defender gains a vigilance buff, preventing their attacks from missing. So I brought in Claire here, so that's not really going to affect her. He also has Feats of Indestructible, so when you reach 1 bar of power, he's also gained an Indestructible buff, causing them to ignore all damage for 5 seconds. So that's not fun, unless you can nullify like Claire. Then he has Feats of Energy. When the attacker reaches 3 bars of power, the defender gains a power gain buff, granting 100% of a bar of power over 4 seconds. So he can actually gain power like crazy. So having Claire and having this power control is really beneficial here. You're really going to want to bring in someone who's got some power control because he gains a lot of power really quickly. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. Now, I did end up bringing in Nick here because I didn't want to revive Claire anymore. And I was like, you know what, let's just go in here with Nick and see what Nick can do. So you got to kind of play around that Indestructible if you're not going to bring anyone who can stagger or nullify. And I just went for it here with Nick, and this ends up taking Cosmic Ghost Rider down. But anyways, guys, that's all that I got. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this month's Cavalier difficulty? How do you think the bosses were? Who do you enjoy more, Cosmic Ghost Rider or Red Goblin fighting? Do you think they were too difficult? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.